So, Suicide Squad, DC's first venture into a post-Batman v Superman movie, and just a post-Superman movie, if you know what I mean, has come out, and people want to know, is it good, is it bad, or is it just okay? It's one of them. So, Suicide Squad, this is a definitely mixed, muddled movie with some really, really good things, some bad things, some weird pacing, and much like Batman v Superman before, I loved it. I mean, when I look back and I think of the things I loved, those outweigh the amount of things I didn't love. So let's just get into some of those now. For starters, I'm not sure about nailing the Joker, because I don't think I've seen enough of the Joker to get a good opinion on him, but I like what I saw. But they nailed the relationship between him and Harley, also without making Joker a main focus in the movie. Just like they nailed the moments with Batman in the movie, though he was in it even less than the Joker. They also just all around nailed Harley Quinn. I mean, Margot Robbie was just as awesome as anyone would think Margot Robbie would be after seeing Wolf of Wall Street and them saying, hey, that chick's going to be Harley Quinn. And you're like, yeah, that works. And it worked, and they nailed it perfectly, and it was just like the animated series, Harley in every great way it could be, and like I said, the relationship with the Joker, all on great. Second, Will Smith's Deadshot did not overshadow the rest of the people, which they could have, and in fact, I think they may have made a better movie if they would have shifted the focus a bit on Deadshot, but that's another video entirely. But Deadshot in the movie was good, the redeemable kind of person that I always feel Deadshot is. He always has him and Deathstroke and a couple of the Batman villains. So I was like, there's good in you. I mean, he's still clearly a villain in this movie, and he's able to deliver those Will Smith one-liners that we love Will Smith for. And it's like, hey, Will Smith has personality again. It's good, especially since the last time I remember seeing was After Earth, which did not have any personality whatsoever. So Will Smith is back and great in this movie, and great flow with the team. And the other members of his team's also really cool. Diablo was just really cool in his role that was given. In fact, he's probably the next meatiest role after these three. Amanda Waller, you hate just as much as you should have. You definitely really hate. There's one scene in particular where it's like, yeah, that's Amanda Waller. That's why we don't like her. The other members of the Suicide Squad, Katana was badass in the amount of scenes that you saw her in, which was few and far between. Killer Croc had some cool moments. Jai Courtney was good in Suicide Squad, which is 2 roles in a row for him that I like, because I also liked him in Terminator Genesis, though most people probably think I'm crazy for that, but I thought he did a pretty fine job in that, and he was a cool side background character. The members of the team all, it's like, okay, yeah, Ric Flair, and basically anyone who's on the team was like, yeah, you were cool, I just wish they would have kind of focused on just a couple more of them and less action, less the negative side of things. And I kind of like the way the first half of the movie flowed. It was a really cool way to set up the different members of the team in a way where it's like, hey, just this is the team, this is what we're going for, and let's kind of get them together in a kind of way that the spotlighted all the different characters in a good way, instead of just kind of just, hey, look, this team already exists. So I think they did not as good a job as Guardians of the Galaxy did in the opening Guardians of the Galaxy, since they were all in that one scene with the big fight. But I think they did a different way of doing that, which also worked, maybe not as well, but also really well way set up the team. And that first half of the movie, I think, flowed very well, and it was very unique and a different style for this kind of movie until we got to the second half. And I also think it was shot great. I mean, David Ayer is just a good, interesting director. I mean, if you've seen End of Watch, the way he was able to use the found footage-esque thing to tell a really compelling cop drama, I think he can use different styles like that in this movie to do the same exact thing. And then we get into the not as good things, which is where the bulk of the problem is, and that's that second half of the movie. Because what this movie really feels like, that they had a first act, really good first act, which is that first half of the movie. They had a third act, which was a typical superhero third act, but hey, look, this big action scene can be cool. And then they've had a middle act, which I don't think is the middle act we got in this movie when they originally filmed it. What I think happened is they had that first half, and they were like, hey, we need more of this third act. So then the second act just became an elongated version of that third act. It's kind of where I feel like it falls apart, because in the middle there's about 3 different scenes within the 30 minutes where it's like, hey, we're just fighting a bulk of faceless enemies. And it's not that any particular one of them was bad. In fact, there's one with Deathshot. Deadshot. Now I'm confusing it with Deathstroke. Yeah. But Deadshot, where he just has this really cool action scene where don't want to spoil what happens. He just has a really cool action scene. And it's like, okay, that was a really cool action scene. Then you have a really cool one with Harley Quinn. And then you have one where it's just all them fighting. With the problem is, each one of those were good separately. But when you have all three of them together, especially since the core great moments of this movie was the team interacting with each other and just their story, if you would have replaced one or two of those other action scenes and gave me some more character-driven moments, I would have preferred that, and I think it would have made the movie flow better. Which, also, this, unlike Batman v Superman, where the first half is just very slow and drawn out, the first half of this movie is well-paced. The second half also well-paced. I just think I didn't want as much action. And then the way it ends, that third act, like this too cliche. The villain in it, which, slight spoilers here, I'm pretty sure everyone knows already, but slight spoilers. It's Cara Delevingne's villain, the Enchantress. She's the main bad guy, and laughably bad. No offense to Cara Delevingne. I thought she was great in Paper Towns. She had a very small role in Paper Towns. Probably about the same size of the role she had in here, but the first half, she's playing a normal person who then becomes Enchantress, and just the Enchantress villain herself is, I think it's the way they wanted to portray her as more this like over the top god, all bow before me kind of person. I just don't like that kind of villain. That's the kind of villain we got. And then on top of that, the final battle scene, what wound up happening was kind of like, hey, basically if you've ever played any video game whatsoever, that at the end there's a boss who either has a second form or you kill that boss and another boss shows up. That's kind of like what the end of this movie was. It was like, hey, look, we did something, and then it's like, well, no, now you got to do another fight that's pointless. And also, just tip to all future movie directors ever: we don't need drawn out slow mo at the end of our movies, because if there's no tension, because we know nothing bad's gonna happen, the slow mo just is painfully slow. And in fact, during that scene, it was kind of funny. Personal experience, and probably no one else is going to see this, but during that long drawn out slow mo at the end, there's the spot where there's slow mo. Sorry for that spoiler. But behind me in the movie theater, people were getting into a fight. It was just funny that they were calling people out for talking. But it's like, well, at least that happens during the slow mo where there's no real tension. Just my opinion, and it made that part interesting. But we have that long drawn out slow mo. Please stop that. Please, I'm done. We can just sped this up. But yeah, overall, it's good. The only other negative thing is I think if they would have focused on... I'm not sure which members of the team I would have cut specifically. I probably got rid of Katana. I mean, she was badass, but besides that, kind of useless. And definitely, like, when Scotty Squid's group of people came, I was like, I don't need another group of soldiers to care about. I already had this group. But if we would have... Not sure which ones we would cut out, like, one or two members of the team just to focus more on the core group. It would have made it better. If we would have more story-driven moments in the middle, like that would have made it better, and better villain, better. But overall, even with this, lots of different muddled moments, and a couple moments where characters kind of overreacted or reacted in a way I thought otherwise. Especially there's like a slight twist in the middle, which talking to one of my friends afterwards, they didn't realize it was a twist because they didn't really set up what the point of the mission was at the beginning of the mission. There's a slight spoiler, and what happens after that spoiler, if you know what I'm talking about. I do not think that character would have been so lenient with the way that happened, and there's another moment where I thought another character found some information and overreacted in a different way, and there's just slight character deviations which I thought were a bit off, which maybe if the original version of this movie would have came out where there was more of that character-driven moments in the middle, I think we would have got that. But overall, I enjoy this movie. I think it's different. It's hard to say I like it more than Batman vs Superman. I think it's a better movie than Batman v Superman, but Batman v Superman had some of my favorite scenes in movies, and I love that movie more than most perfect. I mean, just that Batman fight scene that's like straight out of Arkham, that was awesome. And this movie didn't have like that great moment, but had a lot of good moments throughout it. I really enjoyed it. I'm done with ratings, throwing them out. So no number here, but I had an old system which I don't know if I ever actually put in a video. And I'm not going to reveal what that system is, but what I would say is that this movie, it's worth going to the theaters to see. Go see this movie in theaters. It's good. Form your own opinion. If you come out not liking it, I get that. There's some bad stuff in this movie that would make you not like it. If you come out loving this as much as I did, good on you. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure how good of an actual movie it is. Like, I can't wait to see whatever the next version of this Suicide Squad movie is, especially now that Jeff Johns is the head of DC Entertainment, and I think he'll steer the ship right. I don't think we're going to have these kind of studio hand coming in, changing the movies like we did on this one, Batman v Superman, and Fan 4 Stick. Luckily, DC never made a Fan 4 Stick. Don't talk about Green Lantern. Anyways, sign off. See you guys.